Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Hedera and HBAR, so let's just dive in. And let's start off with this tweet here from Hedera themselves, talking about their transactional volume. And we do see one small step for Hedera, one giant leap for Web3. And, I always look at these transactions, honestly, at this point, I mean, is it really a big surprise that we're at the transactional volume that we're at now? And is it really that big of a surprise that we're at the transactions that we are at currently as well? I mean, honestly, no, right? Um, but I do want to say that I've always looked at these transactions as not a number, right? We don't really look at these as just like, oh, well, we did 3.22 billion transactions in the last 3 months. I don't really care about that. I know that that sounds crazy to say, but when we look at the transactional volume here, I think of one thing, and I say to myself, Hedera can do these amounts of transactions without even shorting the network. Think about what the future holds for Hedera, because so far we haven't had a network like this in crypto ever transacting this amount. This is with one enterprise grade application live. Now, I want to take you guys over here because in this video, we are going to address a specific market that I think a lot of people just overlook. They don't really care about it. And we've talked about it many times in the past as well when we do talk about Hedera because they are spearheading this major shift. Now, I found this diagram, and this diagram is incredible, by the way. This full PDF file, The Power of Public Distributed Ledgers, this is incredible from Hedera themselves, and it does talk about the power, the potential behind Hedera, the advantage of it, the Hedera network itself, HBARs, how they are utilized on the network. Which, by the way, a lot of people keep asking me, like, how does HBAR gain value off these transactions? HBAR is utilized the entire time. Every single thing that gets pushed over the network, HBAR is involved. So that's how the value is created here. Most of everything is paid in HBARs. And then you do see the statistics over here comparing Bitcoin to Ethereum to Hedera. Now down here, we do see the full report. We see the Global Governing Council with incredible names tied to it. And over here, we do see the fully decentralized governance itself. They do even go in depth on everything around it in terms of the influence per member, diverse industries, all that kind of stuff. But then over here, we do see the Hedera use cases. And one of these I'm going to be addressing today is regenerative finance, carbon markets, because this is a market that most people are not even looking at. Most people don't even care about it, and it's a market that I think should be addressed. We're going to be addressing why. So here's the enterprise applications so far. These are great enterprises. And we don't have all of them fully live yet on the network, but I do believe that we will start to see more and more. One of the names that I'm going to be utilizing in this video is Miko, because we actually have a full PDF file from them on just how disruptive regenerative finance actually will be. Then over here, we do see the greenest blockchain itself, which, by the way, I love to note that when we look at Hedera, it actually uses 100 times less energy than Visa per transaction, which is a game changer when you actually look at how adopted in Visa is. I do think that Hedera's energy use is extremely significant as a factor to mention because, again, a lot of people don't look at this, but as the world of finance and the world itself evolves, we know that sustainability has been extremely focused on. So let's go over to a few things. So one, this is a big one. The future of climate finance on chain. Shout out to Danny Ide for this, but we do see our goal at HBAR Foundation is to bring the balance sheet of the planet to the public ledger. The reason why we're focusing on the goal is because we believe that we can make climate finance auditable. We have built at Dovu Official a tokenized marketplace which enables full transparency end to end from the creation of carbon credits through the onboarding, through to the actual purchase and retiring of that carbon credit. And down here, I'm working in the innovation team at ServiceNow. The other hat is related to the Hedera Governing Council, so ServiceNow is one of the council members of Hedera, which is a layer 1 DLT, together with other 33 organizations. And then down here, that's what we're actually doing also in Evercity Eco. We are experimenting with green bonds. We are experimenting with carbon forwards. It's another way how we can actually provide early stage financing for carbon projects. Now, again, incredible use cases within this area of focus. But why is this a big deal? Why are we focusing on this? Well, let's go over here to this website. It's enterpriseholdings.com. It's our impact sustainability. We do see down here at Enterprise Holdings, we see sustainability as an opportunity for innovation and value creation. As a multi-generative or generational family-owned business, Enterprise Holdings strives to operate with future generations in mind. Our forward-looking approach of managing for the long term guides the way we grow our business, support our people, cultivate partnerships, and give back to the communities in which we live and work. Now, you might be wondering, like, why are we even looking at this? Well, ESG. I do believe that everything around this, okay, is a focus point. Because as the world evolves, like I said, every single major company will have to do this. They will have to account for their environmental impact, which means, everything from the life cycle of how they distribute their product, how they create their product, how everything is tracked, everything, all of it will have to be tracked and traced. In fact, we are already seeing this push. Enterprise technology emits as much carbon as the United Kingdom. There are quick ways to fix that. Everything that we see around the enterprise grade sector is being looked at in terms of sustainability. All of this has been discussed many, many times on this channel because I always put a focus on it, on how big of a deal it is to the big names. In fact, Bitcoin mining, as you guys are probably all aware of, has always been scrutinized. It's always been discussed. It's always been talked about in terms of the carbon emissions that it has, the environmental impact that it has, etc. This is also why we do see a big push in terms of digitization, tokenization, all of it. They want to digitize the entire life cycle of the economy because they understand how big of a deal sustainability has become. And also, many corporations and companies like even Amazon also realize this. Our carbon footprint. The path to net zero carbon has many obstacles, but we thrive on big challenges. Learn more about our 2021 carbon footprint and how we're addressing the global challenges in carbon reduction. And I think that this is a great way to analyze just how big the life cycle actually is. Like I said, from start to finish, the entire life cycle will have to be tracked and traced. Everything will have to have some sort of transactional value tied to it. Meaning, when we look at what Hedera is doing with transactions, every part of the life cycle will be tracked and traced, meaning everything will become a transaction, if you will, on the network. And we do see like electronic vehicles, partnering across industries, supporting standards and policies, renewable energy, building construction, data center efficiency, data measurability and availability. Like all of this is the focus point. And this is one company. Imagine, 500 companies, 1,000 companies, 10,000 companies, like every obstacle here, every sort of area of opportunity that these companies see, it's going to be track and traced on a DLT, in my opinion. And it's going to be the most energy efficient DLT. It's not just going to be one, it's just going to be the most energy efficient DLT, or at least most of the most efficient ones. Which, when we go back to that diagram, maybe Algorand, yeah. I do believe that Hedera will be here as well. And you might be seeing a few other ones, but for the most part, I do believe that Hedera will become a leader within this area of opportunity because they've been focused on it for so long. Also, PwC, how carbon ledgers can help companies integrate ESG into enterprise resource planning. Like, this is becoming a big deal. And by the way, Hedera is already building out some incredible opportunities. In fact, they're already a part of some incredible opportunities, like the Guardian. The Guardian is a huge area of focus because it does all of this. It is a basically one size fits all. I know that they're saying like integrating ESG into ERP, not a one size fits all, but like there's products out there that are already built within the crypto space that could do all of this and lead to decarbonization. We also do see over here, bringing the power of enterprise technology to decarbonization. Like, it's become a focus point. And enterprises like enterprise technology, computers, data centers, communication networks account for up to 10% of global electricity use. But companies can also use digital technology to reduce their emissions. So as we focus on this, I do believe that this technology, DLT, Distributed ledger technology will become the go-to. It will become the focus point. We do see here from the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, distributed ledger technology, carbon accounting, and emissions trading becoming the critical area of focus. And down here at the end, we do see it. Designing a system to improve transparency. DLT is a potential solution to the issues with carbon accounting and disclosure that we have identified here. DLT refers to digital transfer, storage, and management of transactional data across a decentralized network of computer servers known as nodes. Servers share the same data records every time a node makes a change to the ledger, and that change is agreed to by a predetermined consensus mechanism, allowing for computational integrity in a circumstance where there is no trusted central party. This is why DLT, if you focus on it as a decentralized mechanism, it could fit the solution that is basically being focused on here from the enterprise grade sector. And in my opinion, I do believe that every single major enterprise will be focused on something like this that solves this issue, because it is becoming a big focus point. I mean, you see it everywhere. Here's the climatetrade.com website. Blockchain and emergent technologies applied to the carbon negative future of cities. Also over here from the World Economic Forum, now or never, how technology and collaboration can accelerate decarbonization. And then over here from the MEXC breakdown. So November of 2022, just last year, carbon markets, tokenization, and the enterprise data challenge. So here's a little bit of a forward breakdown of it, but I do want to focus on this. Mandatory disclosure will force companies to internalize and publicly report their climate risk assessment, including their use of internal carbon prices. It will lead to an increased search for corporations, climate risk solutions, including tolling for using carbon credit offsets. This is why I focused on this issue in this video, because as we focus on real world applications, this is a big deal. Hedera has already created incredible opportunities within this specific problem sector. And I do believe that going forward on in time, they will become a star player as these major corporations and enterprises scour around to find some sort of solution to this. That includes the tolling for using carbon credit offsets. And here's the executive summary if you guys do want to look into it. But there's one area that I want to focus on here, and that is the report looks at what enterprises, banks, brands, retailers, all of them need to know about carbon markets and how they can get involved in bringing about a lower carbon world. Importantly, it also considers how consumer-facing businesses can make their net zero pledges transparent. This also does talk about the growth within this market. I don't know if it's up here or not. So yeah, it actually is up here. So we do see here, whilst there's a growing sector of voluntary reporting and carbon schemes, voluntary carbon credit volume will need to grow by up to 15 times by 2030 to help drive the necessary investment needed to deliver a 1.5 to 2.0 Celsius pathway. As we do focus on this, I do think that we are going to see a lot of growth within this area. I think that the sector can grow much, much larger than this with, again, there's probably going to be a lot of mandatory disclosures put on this. There's going to be a lot of mandatory, standards and things like that around carbon reporting, carbon emissions, all that kind of stuff. And ultimately speaking, like, they're going to need to look at something, anything. And when we look at that, like, I do believe that DLT, like Hedera, is going to be a focus point because of the low carbon emissions that it has. And in fact, like, Hedera has been carbon negative. Tokenization can make carbon assets discoverable, traceable, and tradable via tokenization and identity management. And they even do mention that over here as well, utilizing DLT for all of this. To make their net zero claims transparent, enterprises need a data infrastructure framework that gives stakeholders the power to view and access sustainability tokens. This report discusses some of the key concepts and available tools and is intended as a stimulus for enterprises starting down this path. They do break down a few things around this. So as of March 31st, 2021, 3,404 investors with $121 trillion of assets under management have signed commitments to integrate ESG information into their investment decisions. At least 1/3 of managed funds will be under ESG mandates by 2025. It's a massive amount of money. And we also do see down here, so they do go on in depth on a few things, but we do see, are companies using cheap and low quality offsets in place of actual emissions and energy use reduction, thereby avoiding action on GHG emissions? Well, all of this will essentially be focused on. They will be tracked and traced, and all of that is going to be fully transparent. This is a big game changer. And I do believe that, like I said, this is going to be a focus point. It's definitely going to be a mandatory thing that we do see put on corporations, banks, etc., like all of them. And you can see that new and earlier private commitments include, we already do see Microsoft tied here. I mean, like, when is Microsoft going to be a GC? That's like my biggest question. I do believe that at some point in time they will be, but Hedera definitely is a big one with the Sustainable Impact Fund, with over $100 million tied to that. I think that they see the value here. I think that they see the overall need for something in terms of standardization as well as the solutions to this. So I think that this combined with all of these big names, like look at all of these massive names that are tied to this. Here are some of the big banks. Private sector advisory board members include these massive names that are tied to, the investment banks, carbon market exchanges, commodity funds, investment funds, and major corporations. Like, this is huge. This is definitely huge, and I do believe that all of these names eventually will be tied back to DLT, because DLT, like, you have Visa here, right? When we go back to that report, we know that Hedera is utilizing 100 times less energy than Visa, which is, that's a statistic in itself. Like, and they do mention the Guardian platform here. I think that the Guardian platform is a huge one. I think that it's going to spearhead this major shift. So with all of that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. But if you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.